So this is the kind of seclusion that you can get also in lay life. Make sure you do that from time to time, to test out how you're going, to test out if you're making progress, to test out if the mind is being developed in the way that it should be. So all of these things are support for developing the mind. If you have that spiritual friendship, if you have that seclusion, then developing of the mind is going to happen. It's going to happen much faster than it's otherwise going to do. So that was going back to where I started. I said I became a monk largely because of being able to live in a monastic setting. I chose that because I realized the many benefits, I think, at least in part. I realized those benefits much more after becoming a monk, actually, than initially. But that was one of my decisions, because I knew that was going to be beneficial for developing the mind. Developing the mind made such incredibly good sense to me here. When I looked around the world, I realized that it's the happiness of the mind which really matters in life. The happiness that comes from material things is not so important. You can travel to some of the poorest countries in the world, and sometimes you see people happy. They have beautiful smiles on their faces, even though they're absolutely dirt poor. So that was one decision I made, and it is interesting that all the decisions that you have to make can make in life, or should make in life, or have to make sometimes, all the choices that you have to make or can make, these can always be made according to a very simple rule of thumb. And this is the kind of rule which I want to just mention briefly here. Recently, just yesterday, we had a monk in Bodhinyana Monastery who left for Sri Lanka, and every time somebody leaves the monastery, I think to myself, why should one leave the monastery? What is the reason? What is the right time to leave a place and go somewhere else? Sometimes I myself have thought about, should I go somewhere else? Should I start a monastery somewhere? I was recently invited to start a monastery, actually. And the more I think about it, the more I think, well, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. But what actually criteria should I use to decide this?